if you're looking to start a business. Otherwise, we probably would want to begin from the top and even define what is entrepreneurship? What does it mean to be entrepreneurial? That is our conversation in this segment of Hard Talk this morning. When I return, I'll introduce my guest who is passionate about the space. Don't go away. All right, well, so I was saying my guest is very passionate about, bringing all these bodies together. And I'm talking more the private sector, all of you who work in that space, and giving you whatever support, advocacy, you name it. Ekow is here. Ekow Mensah is the name. He's CEO at the African Network of Entrepreneurs. And indeed, this morning, he's going to help us understand what it is to be entrepreneurial, the ease of even having to do business in this space in Ghana, and the ways forward. Ekow, you're welcome to GH today.
Thank you.
Good. I'm very entrepreneurial myself, so when I see people like you, I get excited.
Well,
yes. So let's take it from the top. And first of all, by the way, what informed this passion?
Okay, so I think right from school, I went to tech. I did mathematics.
And you smile with I went to tech.
Well,
I know what.
I won't get there. I went to tech. I read mathematics, and then whilst I was in school, I think the first year, I started this graphic design.
Right.
And then you know how you go out, like, a hostel, and then you come to the hall, and then they say you have to go back to the hostel. So you get to be in the hall 1 year. So I started school by being in a hostel.
I didn't go to tech, so I don't know how.
Well, but that's how most of the private universities are.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, so I figured that, okay, if I want to remain in the hall because of my business, because that's where all the elections and then people that would want me to do that business for them would be, I have to run for a position. So then second year, I stood for the editor, and then I got a hall, and that gave me an opportunity to stay in the hall throughout. So that's where my first business started from.
Okay.
And I've always had this mindset that life is not supposed to be a routine where you go to school, you finish, you get married, you settle down and all that. Life is supposed to be exciting and experimental. And you have a lot of ideas, and you have to give yourself an opportunity to test these ideas and see whether they are going to work or not. So for me, I gave myself 10 years after school to experiment on a lot of ideas to see how exciting those ideas are. And the only way I could do that was not to be stuck in an 8-to-5 job, was to be free to experiment these ideas. And when the ideas work, good. When they don't work, fine. So the whole idea was try it before you settle down so you don't burden your wife and kids. So then before I got married, I put my hands in quite a number of things. And for me, it wasn't even about being an entrepreneur. It was about giving myself the opportunity to try different things. And that's what I've been doing, and I'm still doing it. And it's been exciting since school till now.
I'm actually envious of you, but we'll talk a bit more after that. Yesterday as well, we know, was World Entrepreneurs Day. Every year, August 21, Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark this day. What does a day like this mean for us as a country?
Well, a day like this is an opportunity for us to highlight our entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the drivers of the private sector, and the private sector is the driver of economic growth in every country, every thriving country, especially the ones that are growing and the middle income country like Ghana. And a day like that is for us to put them out there as heroes, people that are helping us solve very pertinent societal issues like unemployment and putting people back to work and giving opportunities and expanding the economy and helping us to get to where we want to get to. A day to celebrate the people that are actually funding the economy, through taxes and then through innovations and then taking up the risk of creating businesses and employing people. A day to put them out there and celebrate them. And unfortunately, coincidentally, yesterday was also a holiday for our Muslim brothers. So it was a bit overshadowed. But then I think we did our part by putting people, entrepreneurs out there. And also with all the happenings in the banking sector, the public perception of entrepreneurs has taken some sort of a nosedive. So yesterday was an opportunity for us to let people know that, listen, entrepreneurs are important. And especially with the government's agenda of Ghana going beyond aid, they can only do it by pushing the private sector. And you can only push the private sector by encouraging and supporting and putting entrepreneurs out there as the people that need to be, celebrated and encouraged. Because the entrepreneurship journey is very lonely and very hard. And you know it, especially when you're the only one.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a day for us to celebrate our heroes of the economy. And that's what we try to do.
So there are a number of things that you have raised in this submission, and we'll kind of tackle them as we go along.
Okay.
For instance, that government saying that indeed, well, we all believe that that's what it's supposed to be, that it is supposed to be the engine of growth.
Yes, it is.
The measures that have been put in place, are they those ones that you think will be conducive enough, to ensure smooth running of such ventures? We'll look at that as we go along.
Okay.
I want to take it from the top. So you started by telling us who an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
How different is that? Or what would you say is the similarities or differences, if you like, of who an entrepreneur is, and probably the privilege of owning your own business?
Okay, so the whole idea of who an entrepreneur is, for me, is someone that finds excitement in experimenting things that are geared towards solving the problems that people face. Someone that looks at, okay, so this is a challenge that people are facing. What are the opportunities in this challenge? And what can I come up with that people can afford, to pay for?
So for whatever you're doing in that space, it has to solve a societal problem.
It has to solve some sort of a challenge, because that's the only way people would pay you for it. Because at the end of the day, the end result of entrepreneurship is to come up with a certain product or service that meets a need. Because in the absence of the need, your product becomes obsolete or useless. Because the whole point of owning a business, you can't call a business if it doesn't have any revenue model or if it's not bringing you any money.
Right.
We have two types of people that are into business. We have people that are pursuing some sort of a hobby and a passion, and they don't really care if people are buying or people are not buying. They find excitement in doing what they're doing. So we have people that are cooking, we have people that are helping people with their weddings, but in the professional way, there are people that are also doing the same things for money. Now, when you move this hobby into actually selling it as a service that people are paying you for, then you are into business. Okay. But at the point of experimenting on all that, you're still entrepreneurial, because you are experimenting things that people want. You've just not priced it or put a tag on it where people can actually pay for it. But the whole point of entrepreneurship is coming up with some sort of an innovation to either beat down the price, increase the quality of whatever already exists, or identifying something that is missing that can fill in the gap, and then help people to either improve their livelihood, to solve a need, or at least to live easier than before, So anybody that has a mindset of, this is a problem that exists, this is a solution that I can offer, this is a price tag that I can give it, and then gets into the market and people start patronizing, that is when you become a business owner, where you have an identifiable product, you test run it in the market, you have an identifiable target market that people are interested in purchasing, where you have a price tag that does not cause you losses, but then of course gives you some profit, and then where you have increase in customer base, then you are into business. And that's where the challenge sometimes is, where people are not able to manage the growth, because at the point of experimenting, they were just exciting. I mean, they were just excited that they are doing something that solves a problem, or they are doing something that people are interested in. But the moment it gets to the point where a lot more demand is coming on the product that they are selling, then they have to actually start putting in the systems and the structures that would enable guarantee that anytime somebody requests for this, they'll be able to get it on time. So that even if there's a competition, because you enter the market first, you have at least the loyalty of the customer base. And then in building this loyalty, you actually have a business. And then when the structures are in place and you're able to actually even take yourself out of the business and the business still functions, then you become a business owner. So this is the two differences when it comes to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are masters of innovation. They lead change. They come up with ideas. They convert the ideas into business. Business people are people that run a system. So then when something is missing in the system, business people are necessarily managers that find solution for the system to keep running seamlessly. But then entrepreneurs are people that are consistently innovating. to come up with new products, new services, and exciting things.
Right. And for the structures that you talk about is what seems to be missing.
Yes.
In especially the small and medium scale space.
Exactly.
Even if you're moving it up a bit to,
it's still
an
especially
issue,
with what is happening now,
which has always been the case, especially when you're now having to seek some external funding.
Exactly.
To support your business.
Exactly.
What is the challenge really in ensuring that you have all of those structures in place to be able to attract, the kind of support that you need to grow your business?
Okay, so first thing I'll say is most entrepreneurs by their very nature are not managers. They get bored with systematic approach to things, with structures and systems and policies and all those paperwork that help a business to be fully structured. So then when you find an entrepreneur who is very passionate about coming up with ideas and then converting the ideas into product and service and then putting it in the market, and you put them in a position of management, then they get to still run the business around them, such that when they're not there, the business is non-functional, but that's where the problem is. Any entrepreneur that is excited about translating ideas into business and has been able to identify a product should either learn how to manage a business and be excited about the boring day-to-day things, the taxes, the finances, the HR, the operational policies and all those things. But then if you feel that you're not that kind of person like myself, where you keep coming up with ideas and confusing your whole team, you have to now get people that can manage this. But what happens is that a lot of entrepreneurs also are very local in our mindset, even though we always talk about being globally competitive.
We don't think outside the box.
We don't think outside the box. We don't think beyond, because our economy by its state is very small.
Indeed.
Honestly. And a lot of the times when I've done a lot of trainings with a lot of entrepreneurs, their vision is so big, but when you compare it to the economy that we have, there is no way that they'll be able to achieve this vision if they stay local. But the fact is, if you have a global mindset where you know that your business has to go beyond the country, you take time to find out what is needed to structure this business in such a way that it is not just functional here, but beyond this country. Anybody that is interested in the business will see that, the business has the structures and systems that, is comparable to any other business anywhere. Now, when we take even people that are into exports, for instance, when they are going to do a product for exports, the way they package it, the way they take time to meet all the standards that is needed for the export market is not the same way that they even pay attention to the product that they sell locally. Now, that tells you that if you're packaging your business to attract investors from all over the world, there's a certain way of positioning the business, of structuring the business in such a way that everything that is required of a business that is globally competitive is there. But a lot of the times, entrepreneurs don't have that kind of patience, or they don't have that kind of insight or technical know-how to do that. And they're not patient enough to also work with people that, are quite slow in ensuring that all these structures. Entrepreneurs see managers and then professional people as quite boring, because the speed at which they want to translate some of the things they do into the market is not the same speed at which these professionals would encourage them to. So most of the time, there's always a clash between them.
Is that what you'll say is the biggest challenge to entrepreneurs in Ghana?
For me, that's it.
That's the biggest challenge.
That's what I will say, beyond all the other challenges.
Which would be, what would be the other ones?
Like access to market, cost of finance, the ease of getting your business registered, going through the taxes and all those things, and especially getting a workforce that is in sync with your vision. Human capital is one of the major. We have people that you can easily employ, but there aren't enough people with a kind of skill set or expertise that would help you drive your business the way you want. I mean, I've encountered a lot of people that are working full-time, but they have the resources, they have the ideas, and they want to do some things on the side, but they are challenged because they can't find anybody that is trustworthy enough and willing to learn and submit enough to run that business on the side for them. And mostly what happens is that when you are busy doing your day-to-day 9-to-5 work and you've left them to do your business for you, what you realize is that either some of them are now taking your clients and doing a competitive business in the business that you hired them, or they will just run your business now because they don't actually care.
I have a story to tell. I'm sure that one day, one day when I have the opportunity, I will.
Oh no,
so
but that's a big problem.
What you just said is exactly what happened to me. So, we say that if it is yours, you understand exactly, what the vision is and how you want it to pan out.
Exactly.
And so it's easier for you to, but then, so we have all of these young graduates sitting at home saying that, look, we have no jobs, yes. Yet when you find them that kind of job, it becomes a problem.
Exactly.
What is it a problem with our educational system? Because then, are we churning out unemployable graduates? What are we doing as a country? Really? Why is this becoming so prevalent? Let me put it that way.
Basically, I'm careful not to blame our educational system too much, because we are all products of the educational system, aren't we? We all went to school, except a few of us that had the opportunity to go to schools outside or even international schools. But we all went to school here. I did all my education in Ghana. But the problem is, it starts from the home. For me, I would blame the home front more than even the school, because now we've relegated
the
our
home
duties.
is where it all starts.
The home is where it all starts. My father will let you sweep, will let you dust. I washed the bathroom with my hands. You understand? They would discipline you to know that hard work is normal. You get it? The home. But now we've relegated all that duty to the school. And how long do you spend in the school? We don't even have enough time. And the students are a lot. And with all this free education and all that, the school cannot be trusted to create that kind of mindset and attitude that would help us grow into those kind of people because every industry has to teach. And I wouldn't blame the employees too much as well, because the companies and the entrepreneurs don't put in enough time and resources to train the people the way they want. When you look at all these international businesses and global businesses and all that, they have management trainee programs, employee trainee programs, and they took weeks and months of training to get them into a certain mindset, and then even their culture to fit into the culture of the business. You understand? But unfortunately, in Ghana and in our parts of the continent, a lot of businesses don't put in enough investment to train the employees that we get. So going back to the home, we don't have enough training. Nobody is monitoring us. Nobody is helping us to create the mindsets and the attitudes. And when we get to school too, it's all a fast lane. You have to learn fast. You have to pass your exams fast. You have to come out of the school fast. You have to get a job fast. And then nobody is actually taking time to learn. And another thing I would also say is that entrepreneurs are very different from employees. And when entrepreneurs are always trying to create entrepreneurs out of their employees, that's where the problem is. When you have this expectation and you don't get why they don't see it the way you see it, they don't do it the way you do it, they don't think the way you think, it's a problem.
I have been there before, and it gets a bit frustrating.
No, but if they did, they wouldn't be working with you.
Most definitely.
So your duty is to train them. Your duty is to create a certain mindset. Your duty is to have a culture and a system in your business that they get into. The reason why a lot of people get into these banking sector, especially the universal banks, and they're like robots. You're not there to think.
That's why everything is designed, just get in and make it work.
Exactly, and that's why AI is now taking over, because at the end of the day, every business that is doing well is structured in such a way that you, the human being, you are actually, like very replaceable. They built the system such that you, the one who is there, has somebody who is actually deputizing and learning. There's a system that is already there. There's a training model that is there. You go through it all the time. There are refresher courses. So then the business is not dependent on you, the person. The business is dependent on a system, which is almost always absent in most of these SMEs. There's no system, and the system revolves around the one that starts the business. And then when he's not there, everything breaks down.
What has been your own observation of the private sector today? And I say this because we have a government in place, and I probably am becoming sound like a broken record now. No, like, because then anytime we talk entrepreneurship and we talk the private sector and growth issues, I remember so vividly how that the NPP is a political party that has consistently, said that indeed this is where we can, or this is how that we can move our country if we're able to empower more the private sector. What has been your observation of the measures that this government has put in place to boost private sector businesses? Take it from all angles. Are we on the right path?
Not to be, well,
are we on the right path?
You see, we we are on the right path, but we are not moving as fast as we are supposed to.
What is the right path? What is the right path?
The right path is creating an enabling environment to encourage entrepreneurship development and
is that where we
growth.
are now as a country?
That's where we are trying to be. Because first of all, they are automating the system so that the institutions work. It is very important that the institutions work. It is very important that I have an idea, I go to the Register General, there's a system in place that does not frustrate me. It's very important that when I go to GRA and I want to register, there's a system in place that does not frustrate me. It is very important that when I go to GIPC, when I go to the Chamber of Commerce, when I go to the ports. So that is where the government is going, by automating all these systems and making sure that there is transparency, there is efficiency, and, you know, there's ease of doing business, which is very good. And I would commend them for that. Because in the absence of that, the human elements which breeds corruption and delays everything is there. And then the ease of doing business is almost, you know, but then the interventions that the government is putting in place somewhat look like they are competing with already existing organizations like myself that have been in the system and trying to encourage entrepreneurship all this while. Fortunately now they are recognizing us and then working with us. But one of the things that I am not too happy about is the fact that we are not intentional about growing big businesses. We are still, you know, just doubling in subsistence entrepreneurship.
Won't that be an issue of funding?
Well, the government is the richest organization, really. But the fact is, sometimes it's not even funding. Sometimes it is exposure. Sometimes it is attracting the technical mindset that would be involved in the business to help it to put in the necessary structures for it to scale. I would give you a typical example, and I'm not a PRO or PR of Kantanka, but I still don't get why governments after governments, we are still not working with this brand. This is an indigenous Ghanaian brand by a family that is passionate about innovation. And they have been funding this all by themselves. We've created a model, and it's not just one, different types of car, which is indigenous. And unfortunately, they have export tax on a car that is manufactured here, making it non-competitive. If you're a government that is focused on private sector development, my take would be identify people that are already doing things in the private sector and then figure out ways of expanding them and building their businesses to go beyond the country or even to take over the market here. Why is Kantanka not the pride of Ghana? I mean, it's just one example. Because you want to do one district, one factory. You want to do all these things. And people are already doing it. For me, I would say identify people that are already in this sector that have potential for massive growth. Not just because, imagine when they did the presidential pitch. It's an amazing, brilliant idea. But most of the people that pitched were not businesses that were already existing and were already thriving. They were mostly ideas of individuals that they want to try out. There's nothing wrong with it because it encourages entrepreneurship. But by statistics, World Bank records and IFC records and research and all that, Ghanaians are already entrepreneurial. We have the largest percentage of women entrepreneurs in the world. So really, effort should not necessarily go into encouraging entrepreneurship. Effort should go into building big businesses out of businesses that already exist, to employ people that, you know, need jobs, and then to create a certain niche for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, if the government is not focused on helping indigenous businesses to be big, then we have a problem showing role models of how a Ghanaian brand can go beyond. And the young businesses that are coming will not have anything. We'll still be going to the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Jack Ma's and all that to read about their stories on how they floated their things on the stock exchange and how they became big. Because we don't have any indigenous stories of businesses that have done well. But we have individual Ghanaians that are doing amazing things, that have even opened branches in different countries. But we don't celebrate them here. We don't work with them. The government is not creating markets out there for them. Even in Ghana, how come all the ministers are not buying Kantanka?
How should government, in let's say the short term, handle a situation like this?
First of all, identify entrepreneurs that already have a product or a service that has been tested and is doing well.
Right.
That's the first thing. Sit with them and figure out what they need to grow this business by identifying what their vision is and then matching it with your vision. Because we need to have, it has to be exact what our plan is to go Ghana Beyond Aid. What is the exact plan? If your exact plan is encouraging entrepreneurship and private sector, who are the private sector individuals that if I put them in a certain network, their tax alone would help us to wean ourselves from foreign aid? Where is that plan? So identify these entrepreneurs that are already doing, and that's why I have a problem with the banking sector and what is happening. But beyond that, identify them, sit with them, have a vision with them, and then
I don't think we can take the banking industry happenings out of the equation.
No, we cannot. But what I'm saying is that we could have done it better. You get it? Because now entrepreneurs and the reputation of entrepreneurs and people that are aggressive and passionate to go global, they've taken a heavy beating. Not that I'm encouraging any illegal, but they only did it because there wasn't an existence of finance for them to grow beyond where they already is. So they felt that that was an easy way to go. But what I'm saying is, if you identify these players, I mean, when you go to the, you said you're part of a Chamber of Commerce now. When you go to AGI, when you go to Chamber of Commerce, the government should be sitting with them and then talking big business.
Well, I know those partnerships exist, but,
yes, but then
the level of business, that, as you say, is what I do not know.
We went to Turkey early this year, and then we were wearing our African prints. Yeah. And even though Turkey is one of the world's largest exporter of textiles, last year they did $40 billion, and it's just one city. Even though they are one of the world's largest exporter of textiles, they had never seen our textiles before. One of us wore kente up and down, and everybody came to touch the fabric, took pictures. We were like stars. And we're wondering, okay, but the government knows about Turkey, and Turkey is the textile hub of the world, one of them. How come we are not taking our people who are into this textile manufacturing there or bringing them here? Why are we not discussing it? And we sit there, and then all these other countries come, they take our patterns and whatever, and then they go and then manufacture it. What I'm saying is, Ghana has amazing products and service that have not gone beyond this.
Ekow, we're way out of time. You know, when I feel a part of the situation, I get so emotional. But please, just in a minute, see if you can help that young person out there who is seeking to make that move to be entrepreneurial. You know, start their own business and at least progress to that level where that you were talking about. What should that be?
So for every young entrepreneur out there, one thing I tell you is that instead of complaining about all the challenges there is about entrepreneurship, those challenges are actually opportunities. You're a gold mine. The ideas you have, people want to invest in it so that they can make money from. So focus on getting customers, build your customer base, focus on sales and marketing more than showing yourself as an entrepreneur and going for every program and pitching. Sell the product or service that makes you a business owner. And the more you have customers, the more attractive you become to everybody else, investors, customers, partners, and even employees.
Ekow Mensah has been my guest. Ekow, indeed, you've become one of my very favorite persons, and I'm going to make use of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ekow is the CEO, African Network of Entrepreneurs, and you saw the passion yourself. Listen, when we return, we have more for you on the show. Stay with us.